Hi, my name is Andrew Kreesis, and welcome to the next installment of NielsenIQ's Founders Series. This new video series will dive into the many facets of launching a CPG brand, from perfecting the formulation to securing a meeting with retailers, from getting on a retailer's shelf to scaling the business. Each episode will shine a light on the challenges and successes of startup CPG brands. Joining me today to share his story as CPG CEO is Daniel, CEO of Machu Picchu. Welcome, Daniel.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Daniel. So let's have some fun. Let's dive right in. Can you share a little bit of background? Just who are you? How did you get connected to Machu Picchu? And what's like the origin of the brand?
Definitely. I am Daniel Scharf. I was hired as CEO of Machu Picchu in March of 2021. So I've been working on it for about a year and a half now. And I was really lucky to get connected with the founder of the company, a guy named Bernardo Paiva, he was formerly the chief sales officer of Anheuser-Busch InBev and CEO of Ambev, which is their Latin American affiliate based out of Brazil. He had retired from that business and then wanted to come back and do something in the beverage space using all of his knowledge, but also with a socially conscious mission to it. So he got connected to me through just somebody that we had in common through my old consulting days, and seemed like a really good fit right off the bat, just because the mission of the company was something that was really compelling to me. What he wanted to do was, two of his main passions are the outdoors. So he's a surfer. He grew up in Rio. Loves surfing. I think especially now that he has more time to do it after all of his travels with AB InBev, and also doing good helping kids. So in his time, especially at Ambev in Brazil, he had worked with one of the best known NGOs that operates centers inside of the favelas, the urban slums of Brazil, to give kids opportunities and to really help them out. So those were just two of the things that he wanted to do around the brand. And when he talked to me about that and the values of the company, we didn't have anything at that point. We didn't have the liquid, but we kind of knew what we wanted to do was just elevate the energy set, energy, which has been growing like crazy. I think, just a lot of people figuring out that they want energy and they want the convenience and the flavor profile, right? But actually just seeing that the quality of the liquids was pretty low in the set, and the brands didn't lead with a social mission. But it just seemed like a really great place for us to start and then leverage a lot of the assets that we have as the company. So his co-founders also come from former Ambev leadership and AB InBev leadership. So we have on our board the guy who used to be the head of innovation at AB InBev. He's launched over 1,000 products in beverage. So this guy, he knows what he's doing.
The real deal.
So, you've tasted our drink, that's why it's so good, is because of him and him knowing the direction to go in, and just really giving very technical direction and feedback on the product for what it could be. And then we have another board member, they're both named Silvio actually, but we try to keep it straight. Remember who's who. And so he helps us a lot with the financial setup of the company. He was the former controller from Ambev. Cool. So just, got to know them through the initial process, and then have had a really wonderful working relationship with them, learning a lot from them. And so, starting in March of 2021, just got to work on it. So nice. Immediately, we just started to work on building out exactly what we were going to do to deliver on our Do Good promise, helping kids, building out some really amazing programs, building out a partnership with UNESCO in Peru as well, where we could be the founding member of this 10-year pact that actually lets us support Machu Picchu Mountain specifically and cultural initiatives. Cultural initiatives in Peru through revenues, which is really an honor for us to do. And I think something that they really appreciate in these days where tourism revenue Machu Picchu is way down. Right. They use that money for a lot of things, especially cultural initiatives in Peru. So we're super proud to be able to help with that. And then, we got to work on the liquid, started making this thing at, just refusing to compromise on anything. We wanted just the best tasting thing out there that would be organic, and just, really was blown away by the process. For me, it was a new one of actually doing the product development, with the help of our board member, obviously, who really is responsible for how good it got, but learning that process and just, never could have imagined how good the end product would be and how well it would be received by people, because I've worked at companies where you don't know going into a meeting if they're going to you hope, and you have your story, and you know why it's important and the mission and everything, but it's really incredible now just how overwhelmingly positive the feedback has been. And I mean, just in the last month, I've had 3 different buyers from major chains tell me this is hands down the best energy drink I've ever tasted.
Love it. There we go.
Yeah,
that's awesome, Daniel.
That's nothing better than that.
All right, so that's obviously like the best reaction feedback you can get. Now, give me a little bit of the story. Like, what were the steps that you took once you got the liquid, right? When you got it down to this is awesome, this is unique, this is differentiated. You have the social mission, which is amazing. What steps did you take to like kind of break into retail? Like, what was that process?
Yeah. And I mean, still something that I work on every day, and just try to build as many relationships as possible. So, obviously the liquid, kind of the most important thing, as you mentioned, and then really spend a lot of time also building out the brand. We knew what we wanted to do and what the pillars of the company are, but translating that into exactly what we're going to be on pack and how we're going to communicate our mission to consumers took a lot of work. And we have a really great branding agency. These are our brothers who in Spain who really were just super aligned with us on the mission. They have their own education initiative as well, and they're outdoors people, and just really understood the heart of the brand immediately. So relied on them a lot to build these beautiful designs, which there we go. Yeah. And then we can see it anyways. And then, so, once you get the kind of liquid nailed and like the branding, then you got to scale up, right? So spend a lot of time. And so I have a partner in the business who's our CFO, COO, and he got to work with our team figuring out where we're going to get all of these very lovely, but sometimes hard to find organic ingredients, and, like piece the puzzle together in exactly the right way. A lot of creative problem solving, including because, we really wanted to use organic maca in the drink to balance out some of the caffeine. So it's, it's not like taking a scoop of maca, putting it in the drink like a daily, substitute for your supplement, but just, we really believed that it was just something great to have in the drink. And so it's actually not water soluble. And so even figuring out how are we going to get this into the beverage, make it water soluble without using any, chemical binders, anything like that.
Right.
We weren't willing to do. So basically a lot of problem solving to get this all to work in the kind of perfect way. So he really did a great job on that. And then after that, it's all about like figuring out then what is our approach to the market going to be? How are we going to get in front of all of these retailers, and how are we going to also start reaching consumers with our story? And so, I think one of the most pivotal things that we were able to do early on was to bring on 2 really great brand ambassadors. And so one of them is a woman named Sylvia Vasquez Lavado. She's a Peruvian American ambassador. She's the first Peruvian to summit Everest. She's the first openly gay woman to complete the 7 summits.
That's amazing.
And she's such a special person. She has written a book that is called In the Shadow of the Mountain, that came out this year, and it's just taken off like wildfire. Cool. It's been printed in, I don't know, like 50 countries already. And then she'll be played in a movie by Selena Gomez. So they're working on
my gosh. Yeah.
It's really an inspiration. She's a survivor of sexual assault. She has an NGO that then helps kids as well and gives them outdoor opportunities. We're really lucky to be able to work with her on that. And then we also are partnered with the top world surfer, John Florence, most dominant surfer out there. And we were so lucky to get to partner with him. He had, as you probably know, a lot of the major athletes across a lot of different sports are sponsored by energy drink companies as well.
Yeah, sure. The big ones.
Yeah, and I mean, he was always our dream partner on this because he wasn't really interested in working with any of the other ones out there. Yeah. And immediately when we started talking to him, the brand really resonated with him. The outdoor inspiration and the work that we do help kids. and just it has been a great relationship with him. And actually next year we'll be launching 2 different products that we developed with him.
Very cool. Okay.
So very, very excited to share a little
Yep.
bit more about that in the coming months, but it is an incredible liquid. And, a lot of that is because of his input. So really developed to his taste profile, just made it so much better through the product development process. So that was a really fun process to go through with him also, and just such a good person. Not just, I think pretty well accepted that he is the top surfer out there right now, but also just on top of that, a great person who, really wants to work on things that he's passionate about. He's a great entrepreneur as well. So that's the kind of marketing side of things. And then, in terms of getting into retail, unearthing every stone for sure at the beginning, which, I think is.
And Daniel, who was your first like major retailer to take you on, or who's your first key retailer? You're like, okay, I landed.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Right. Well, so right off the bat, I would say the kind of pre-launch ones that were excited to work with us. So we had GoPuff that was working with us as our exclusive cloud retailer. It's a huge help. They're amazing people, and they really helped to kind of launch us into distribution, and they've been just really fantastic to work with. Erewhon also was committed to launching with us, which is great. Obviously, if you like, I demo sometimes in the store in Venice, and like you meet consumers there, but also you might also meet buyers from other stores, because if you go there around an expo, the buyers from a lot of other stores,
everyone's wandering,
checking it out. It's kind of a see and be seen place. It's pretty cool. And Central Market was just a huge one for us, because it's just one of the best regarded grocers out there. And we working with the buyer there, she really loved the liquids and was very touched by our social mission as well. I was mentioning the work that we do to help kids. It's faceted. So in Latin America, the work that we do is helping NGOs that are operating in the urban slums in Lima and also in Rio. So we help fund these organizations that give kids a safe space inside of the slum, and also gives them access to outdoor education, specifically surf lessons, just because these are both places that are right by the water. And, they give them surf therapy. They go and really form community with each other, and just, inspire them to use their energy in the best way. And then here in the US, something that I'm super proud of is we actually launched our own initiative teaching kids in underserved public schools how to make
amazing.
How to make their own beverage company. So exactly these steps that we're talking about now.
Right. It's like, here's the guide. Let's build it for the kids to start with.
Yeah, that's what we teach them. So, we basically go in and run an entrepreneurship simulator where they actually get to make a liquid, and they pick a social cause, because we're teaching them.
Right. It's not just a product. It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah, which, we think is the right thing to do, to set the business around some kind of a cause, whatever is important to you. But also we think it's good business, just because, I think consumers really care.
For sure.
We teach them that. We teach them to create the liquid. We teach them tasting. So even Silvio will come in and teach them how to taste, like how to pick up the different flavors and things. And then they create a brand as well that's taught by Firma, our branding agency. They draw out can designs. And at the end, they actually pitch. So they pitch their idea to investors.
I love that.
So we did this, we created the pilot in Miami, working with a public school in Miami, and it just went so well that we actually got the interest from a national education organization to launch this as their major innovative entrepreneurship simulator on their platform, which is taught by teachers in public schools across the country.
Wow.
So
okay.
Because of them, by the end of this year, we'll be able to teach this to kids in underserved public schools across the country. So we're just reaching out, getting other founders, even from the space, who are working on socially conscious brands, to contribute lessons as well for the kids. And I was just able to go in and do another workshop here in Compton a couple of weeks back, and it's so much fun. I'm telling you, like the kids are so engaged in this, and for me, it's really meaningful, because when I was a kid, somebody's dad came in and did a stock market simulator.
Okay. Yeah.
Hooked. I loved it. I was like, okay, I'm doing business. What do
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah.
I'll get an internship. And that's what, that's what we want. They're all not all going to start companies, but I
Right.
just get them excited about careers and getting,
See the potential and get some early insight. Yeah.
Yeah. And so to bring it back with the buyer for Central Market, really loved the program. She told me that she actually credited a lot of her success getting to be so successful earlier on in her career was because she actually did a program like that. Somebody took the time to give her some inspiration, and so she just loved that. And actually, I'm going to be in Texas in a few weeks for the 7-Eleven Brands with Heart program, and we're hoping we can actually go into a school together to do it. So
nice.
Hopefully we can make that work.
That's a great example of how it's the mission beyond the product that actually is something that really connected you into the retail side, right? Like that was, you stood out and went above and beyond in what you're doing, and that then connected you to the retail partner. I think it's another channel that we don't always talk about as much with brands, right? Which is like, how do you get the attention of a brand buyer or build a relationship or rapport? It's not just like, here's my product, what does it taste like, right? But it's broader. It's the mission. It's everything you stand for. It's like you said, you're now going to be engaging outside of this environment, right? And going to schools together. So like that's a really good piece of advice for those who are listening as well.
But it must taste good. That's the first thing.
So, you're not going to go anywhere further. You're not going to get the repeat customer and loyalty if it doesn't taste good. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, that's right. And so I think it does help us connect in with buyers who, what they tell me, when we're doing pitches now, buyers will say like, what's interesting this time around for this reset versus past years is brands are leaning very heavily with their mission, which is so great.
Yeah.
They're just seeing more and more of that. So I think you're right on. That definitely is good advice for other brands, is just, it's not enough anymore just to have an interesting product. People really
exactly
know, like, where's your heart? And I think, so you see it on our cans, like it basically, it says right here, feel good, do good.
Yeah.
How good liquid is. And then the do good, it reminds consumers, who I'm excited for them to find out about all the great work that we're doing and how, they can support that through us. But also reminds everybody who works here, like we know why we're here every day.
Right.
And
this is our mission, and this is why we're here each day, and this is what we're living for. And the consumers then are reflected on that. Jenny, I want to pivot for a second here, because this is awesome and super motivating. But I want to pivot to, it's not always bright. What are some of what was the biggest challenge that you faced as a CEO in this journey of kind of building and launching the brand? What was the biggest challenge? Like, how did you break through it?
Yeah, I mentioned for sure the ops part, the operations of just getting a very specific formula made at scale is tough. When you have certifications, all of these things are just an added layer of anxiety. Right. It's like the degree of difficulty of a dive, right? When someone's like jumping off the Olympic diving, it's like, you're not just doing a front dive pike. He's like, and you have to do 3 flips and also make sure you land this way. That's what it's like when you start adding certifications onto a product. Yeah. So for us to be able to make exactly what we wanted, which would be organic and non-GMO, and we weren't going to use preservatives. It's hard just to make the product absolutely delicious, although it turns out actually when you do all of that the quality of the ingredients makes it delicious. But there aren't so many suppliers for a lot of these high quality ingredients, because the companies that are the market leaders don't use them. They use a lot of stuff that I think they use synthetic caffeine that's made in a lab, and they use artificial sweeteners. That stuff is a lot easier to find than organic ingredients. And so just weaving together the patchwork of that, and like just making the whole thing work. That's the thing that was the most amount of work and like the most amount of heartache for all of us, where then you figure it out, but then maybe one of the ingredients isn't going to come on time. Just fit with physical product. Everything it's just a very precise dance that has to come together all at the right time. So I think, that would be the biggest challenge for us to date. But, fortunately, I think creative problem solving and a lot of grit has gotten us to where we are. And we just fulfilled we just hit Sprouts for the first time. So We landed on a one-time PO for their innovation set nationally. But that was a really great milestone for us, was to fulfill all of those POs with product, and, went really well, thanks to our operations team, and their team as well. So really excited about that. And then, I think, we have to acknowledge that the sales, there's not a single startup out there that doesn't have aspirations of becoming the market leader in their category. Or at least the ones that resonate with me the most. And so I think it's hustle. It's a lot of hustle out there to break through in this industry. It just it works a certain way, and you really have to rely on existing structures like brokers, and it's not like that. They're not so many buyers, or even like on LinkedIn. A lot of don't necessarily want to be so accessible, or just aren't used to it, to all the brands.
Because they can get swamped with 30,000 requths. Yep.
Yeah, you could have a store with, I don't know, better than I do how many SKUs you might have in a store, but thousands or 100,000 or whatever. Like, they got to make a lot of decisions, and so they rely on brokers to help them and reset schedules, and a lot of that you really have to learn your way around, and then just knock on a lot of doors. And it's even when you work with a broker, it makes a huge difference when you as the CEO or the founder are doing it yourself.
Right, are engaged directly. Yeah.
No matter how great of partners you have on your team, or no one is ever gonna have the same passion for it, or it's just not gonna feel the same way as when you do it. So you really, I really believe that it's one of the best uses of your time, especially in the early days, is to just be really diligent about figuring out, okay, what's our route to our market strategy, what are the retailers that we think are really important for us, and then just finding ways to try to build relationships with them, and become friends with them. And through every channel that's out there available to you, through asking friends to introduce you, from going to events, from just lots of follow-up emails. So
you got to be hustling. But there's two things, Daniel, that mentioned I want to call out. One is around, and this is a consistent theme, like one is you got to have the grit and the commitment, right? Because you're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to run into, like you said, product roadblocks of like, how do you even create or create this brand? And also the ingredients of that product are really complex. But the second one you mentioned, which sometimes doesn't always get called out, is like, you need a really good operations team, or operations person, or you need to be good at operations, right? Like, at the beginning, it's probably you, and then it needs to expand. I just want to double click into that for a second, and then we'll need to wrap up here. Share a little bit about that. Like, how do you lean into your operations group? Like, do you have any advice on that? Because that is so fundamental to being able to scale and deliver against a big PO.
Yeah. And I've worked at companies in the past that have gray-haired operations people they've seen it all, they know what they're doing. That's advice I got from people in the past, is like, that's who you should want to hire in operations.
Get a really good ops person.
Yeah, it's true, but they're very expensive too for their expertise. So what we did, we used a commercialization consultant called Catapult, who I know them and Jamie from my past days at other companies. They're great. And so what they helped us do was take this formula that we had and figure out how to start making it at scale. So we really relied on them, because we didn't know a lot. And so they helped us through finding the right partner who could make the beverage for us, understanding the certifications process, and helping us get the organic certification, especially, which that took a long time. And a lot of places where we just weren't even getting responses from people. So that was really important to have their help. And then over time, we just tried to take as much of it on ourselves and learn as quickly as we could. But they're a really important partner for us, because there are just so many things that are unknowable without experience. So that was for us a nice go-between between like, not necessarily wanting as a startup to bring on a lot of really experienced ops people, but also needing some of that expertise.
That's really good.
That was really helpful for us. And then, but that was really one of our first and most important hires, was even getting an operations manager to help my partner Fernando on it, who's the CFO, COO. Like, he can't do it all. And you do really, there's so much in timing and storage.
Yep. It's the unsung hero of any CPG brand.
Yes, we have a great operations manager who just that was super important for us, and also just yeah, I mean the consulting help is really important, but you can't rely on that forever just because there's so many tasks that would be cost prohibitive.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a really good insight. It's a great example of, okay, you might not be able to go all in on a full person, right, to begin with, but if you can tap into some partial or fractional or consulting input, get yourself set up correctly, and then, yeah, when you're ready and you have the capital or you have the runway, you definitely need to bring in the right ops talent. That's going to help shape your ability to deliver on, if you're successful, right, down the road, then you need to have that team fully coordinated, that supply chain running. So that's great advice. Well, I think Daniel, we're gonna wrap on that. I feel like that's a great point to just kind of leave with really good advice for those who are listening here. So Daniel, thank you for joining us. It's an awesome story. I know our fans are going to love that. Lots of advice about not just the product, but the mission behind it, as well as all the way down to operations, the nitty gritty.
No, thank you so much, and really appreciate also all the insights that we've gotten from the Nielsen data, which I really rely on. It helped us helped us a lot with our market strategy and understanding regions that we wanted to focus on. So it's been just completely invaluable for us to understand what's going on in the category, where there's opportunity, which brands are losing a lot of share we can try to go for. And then lastly, for anyone out there, you can check us out. We're launching at a bunch of retailers. So you'll be able to find us at Fresh Time in all of their stores starting in December. We'll be in all the infra, all the NCGs starting early next year. So thank you very much. Please, hope all of you will get the chance to try the drink.
Yeah, you got to give it a go. It's awesome. Delicious. All right. Well, thank you, Daniel. So this has been another episode of NielsenIQ's Founders Series, where we dive deep with some of the most innovative brands and founders to unpack how brands launch and grow in the CPG space. This video is brought to you by NielsenIQ, where we are revolutionizing the CPG industry and democratizing data and analytics for emerging brands. To learn more, check out nielseniq.com/Byzer, BYZZER. Thank you.